And welcome to our coaching series, talking about part one, using mentors. I'm here with Dr. Sylvia Valencia, and we're going to run through, just kind of do a quick little rundown on the mentor piece for Mission Possible. So this is year 2 for adding the mentors. And a few things are kind of changing on it. So if you've done it before, you're going to see a lot of the same things as the past, probably some new mentors, since the project idea is kind of changing a little bit, so different professional background on that side of things. But with that said, let's get started. And so if you are not able to be here, we do have this recorded, and we'll share the slide presentation and the video out after this. So no worries. So before we got started, we wanted to make sure to do a kind of a quick little overview of what Mission Possible is happening for this year. Oops, I was supposed to be there. Oh, wait. So anyway, a quick overview. The idea is students are picking about 20 acres of land from one of 3 geographical locations. And so the idea is, for this plot of land, they have to find an endangered species. It could be a plant, it can be an animal, that sort of thing, but it needs to be in North Texas. And this park is going to help support that species. So to help them thrive and help with the population part. In addition to that, there's also going to be a recreational area for people to go through and use. So go hiking or biking or swimming, or depending on all those different activities, there needs to be something for people to use to go through and enjoy. So if you think about how much Crowley's growing, and really everybody's growing all across the Texas and everything like that, there's a lot of people coming in, a lot of houses that are needing to be built. And as we add more houses, we are taking land away from animals and plants and things like that. So this park is a way to help protect that space and give those animals or those species a place to thrive. So just like in Mission Possible before, there's going to be a physical or a computer model that you can do with your layout. So you'll have to create a layout of what your vision is for your park and how that's going to play. Important dates. Round 1, your video pitch will be due on March 7th. So this will be done through Flipgrid, and the link is on the one-pager, which everybody should have access to, but I'll also kind of show that here in a second. So everybody should have access to this one-pager. And the one-pager, you have access to the video scoring link. So you want to see how the rubric's going to be scored for the video, you can see that. There's a link to the Flipgrid that you can click on right here if you click on Flipgrid. And there's also this form over here for team names and registrations. Please, 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 please register and use that, because this right here tells us how many people are going to be participating. And also, when we get our mentors, we need to know how to assign out our mentors. So right now, there's only one team that signed up to officially participate. So make sure, if I know there's a lot of teams out there that are participating and have teams built up and ready to roll, but make sure you fill that out, please. On the one pager, it just lets us know how many people is competing. We're not asking for names yet as far as your kids. We just want to have an idea of how many teams are participating, and so that way we can get mentors and communication out appropriately. So all that is on the one pager. Especially talking about the video pitch. Now, the video pitch is going to be round 1. After round 2, the teams that advanced at round 2, they will have an in-person presentation on April 21st. That'll be over here at the CTE Center. The teams that advance from round 2 will go to the final round, which will be at a special location at the end of May, probably right before the week of school is what we're kind of shooting for, but we'll see, which is availability. So the main things is make sure you are registered online so we know how many teams are competing, and that way we can get our mentors assigned out correctly. So with that being said, so let's talk about mentors. Originally our goal was to get mentors assigned out this week. With the ice and everything that happened last week, we're postponing, kind of moving everything back a little bit. So we're going to be trying to get those mentors assigned out to teams next week. So our mentors are going to have a professional background. So they're going to be coming from parks, biology. We've got some park rangers. We're working with the zoo, trying to get some mentors out there, some engineering and architecture professionals as well. So we're going to have a wide range of professionals from that career field to work with your students. Now, the idea is with the mentors, the coaches can reach out to the mentors, not the students, and that's just student safety, that sort of thing. So these are all professionals. There's not going to be any issues for that, but the coaches once we get your mentor assigned, we'll give the coaches the contact information, and coaches can reach out to the mentors to get a schedule set up. So you might want to do something once a week, maybe kind of a casual check-in. Y'all can, but between you and the mentor, coaches, y'all can kind of decide how you want that to be. Probably the best way to do it is just do like a group Zoom call. So maybe something after school or during the day, you get your team together for 5-10 minutes and kind of touch base with the mentor. But that's something that can be set up that way. And use them as a resource. We tried doing the mentor piece last year. And I know talking to a few mentors, we had some that may have only had teams reach out to them once, if even that at all. So use the mentors. They are super excited about participating in this project, and use them as a resource. They are here to help your teams thrive for the competition. So they're there to help. They're very eager for it. So please feel free to use them. So how do you use your mentor? So here's some suggestions. These are not the end all be all, but here's some things that you can use to use your mentor. Define your goals with your mentor and what your end goal is. So when you are working with your mentor, kind of set up, let the mentor know what you're wanting to do, what your goal is, and let them know what you want your end product to look like. And so your mentor can go through and help you get to that final goal. So that'll be a good thing to kind of define out with your mentor and kind of work with that. Recognize your team's strengths and weaknesses. So as students are working in their teams, they know some things that they may have some really great ideas on, or that are doing very, very well on, but they also may recognize that there's some parts in their project that they may be lacking. So use that, identify those strengths and weaknesses, and work with that mentor to help your team out. And it's just always good to have another perspective in it, especially someone from that professional background already. So mentors, advice. Mentors always be willing to give you advice. Be listen and evaluate it. Doesn't mean if a mentor says, hey, you should really probably do this, it is, at the end of the day, it's still your project as a team. So it is totally up to you whether you want to use it. But keep in mind, they do have that professional background. They're already doing a lot of things that you guys are doing right now. So having their input is going to be very important to use, but that doesn't mean you absolutely have to use what they say either. So take the advice, listen, and decide if that's the direction that you guys want to move. Have questions and thoughts prepared before you're meeting with your mentor. So when you're meeting with your mentor, especially because time's going to be limited, try to have kind of a layout on things that you want to ask your mentor. It's good to have some questions ahead of time. Think about some things that, as you're working on your project, that you may have difficulties with. Use this as a way to kind of get prepared. And so that way you can have some questions ready to go for your mentor. And that just also, from the professional side of things, just having that ahead of time just makes everything, the communication piece, so much smoother. Don't assume your mentor understands everything about your idea. So you have, and this is something I always have a hard time with too, I got this awesome idea in my head, but a lot of times it stays in my head and it's difficult to get that idea out there. So work with your mentor, let them know what you're wanting to do, and just don't always assume that they know the direction that you're trying to go. So make sure you're working with your mentor and let them know what you can do to help. Asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Your mentor is there to help you out as much as possible. So they have a professional background that should be a major, major impact on what your project is doing. And use them to ask questions, and don't be afraid. There's no such thing as a stupid question except for a question that never gets asked, the way I kind of look at it. So think about that. And the last part is show gratitude. When you're working with your mentor, be thankful because they are taking time out of their schedule to go through and work with you guys for the teams as much as possible. So just, be appreciative of it. And then everybody likes getting appreciation and makes them a lot more eager to work with you for the next time. So those are a few things on the mentor guide that we would suggest your teams, and when you're working with that mentor, just some things to kind of keep in mind. Dr. Valencia, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you said it all. It's good.
Perfect.
Yes.
So as far as the mentor piece, that's kind of all we have for today. And so part of this was talking about some things that you can go through with your teams. We'll send out this slide once we figure out who's all registered. We'll give you all access to this and then the recording. But the last part is questions.
I mean, I guess the only thing that I do want to say is we cannot assign mentors if we don't have groups that have already signed up. So if we have, let's say, 5 groups that signed up, we will assign those mentors. At this moment, Mr. Smith and I are working on, should we assign 1 mentor per school, 1 mentor per group, but it really all depends. So right now we only have 1 group that has signed up. So that's the important piece. Make sure that you sign up your teams.
All right, so I know we got some people that are also joined in here. So if you have any questions about what we're doing, feel free to jump in and we'll try to get those answered as best as what we can.
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I signed up my teams, but on there I thought it made it sound as if though it asked for how many students were in it. So I put down 12 because I think the minimum was to have 3 teams. So did we have to go in and create the form and do it 3 times for 3 different teams? Or did we just have to initially say we have X amount of students, but then divide them up as time goes on into their individual teams? Because most of my teams are going to be, there's four within a team. And so I didn't know if the document that I filled out was correctly done, or if I needed to go back in there and do it multiple times to highlight the 3 different teams that I have versus the 12 students that I will be working with along this project.
So originally it was set up where you would do it each time for each team, but
Okay.
let me go through, and the nice thing is it is a Google form. So let me go in there, and that's probably a good idea. Let me go through and edit it. What I'll do is I'll make a spot where how many students you got and then how many teams.
Okay.
So we'll do that where from the teacher side, you only have to enter it once. When the form was created originally, I was thinking more there'd be multiple teachers having teams versus just kind of one teacher having multiple teams. So that's where it got that's where it is originally set up. But let me go through it. I will edit that form here shortly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. That's an easy fix.
Good question. That was a very good question. Thank you. Anyone have any questions about the challenge itself?
I will throw this out there. We tried to, for the land pieces, so we tried to pick places in Crowley that were different, but you are not using those specific areas for your land development for the park, if that makes sense. So like the Crowley admin building, you're not gonna, that's one of the locations. We picked that one because it's nice and flat, but it's also fairly easy access where students, when they go and actually look at it, they can see it and get a better idea of what it kind of looks like. So that is the type of land that you are picking. So not so much you are putting that park in that location. So like Bicentennial Park, that's already a park there. We just picked it because it had the hills and the trees, that sort of thing, the elevation changes with it. So we just picked that as far as a location, as a sample where you can actually physically go and look at and say, okay, well, here's some ideas that I kind of want to do. But you're not actually putting your park in that spot, if that makes sense. Hopefully.
Yeah, and then the third one that we picked was by by water. And so the land is gonna look a little different there.
And I think that one we try to get by Lake Benbrook.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have reached out to Lake Benbrook and they are aware of Mission Possible. So if you let them know, if you do go out there, or if you have a team go out there, just let them know that you're doing Mission Possible. And they should be able to try to help you out and kind of give you some ideas there. Desmond, what can we do for you?
Is the requirement to have 3 teams? We must have 3 teams?
No, that was something that we were wanting you to have 3 teams, but if
Okay.
you have the one team, that's awesome. We just wanted to make sure that we were what was happening in a lot of schools is that would only like let's say one of the middle schools,
Mhm.
they would only have one team with 3 students. And so in talking to some administrators are like, we want more, participation.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, yeah, we'd like we would love for at least to be 3 teams per school. But of course, if you only have that one, I mean, that's it. As long as you're opening it up and allowing students to know, hey, but if that's all that signed up, that's all that you have, that's fine.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
hopefully you can get another teacher to help you. And so if you do have 2 teams, maybe you run one team and another teacher runs the other one.
The other one. Okay.
Yeah. So like, for example, SH Crowley Elementary, I believe they have 4 teams. And so what's happening is she went ahead and recruited some other teachers. So they have 4 teacher leads
Mhm.
and they have 4 different teams. So each one of them are meeting at different times. So again, that's what we want to see. But I know that if there's only, one team that you are working with, then definitely just, submit the names for that.
Okay. Thank you.
I am looking for a form right now. So once I pull that up, I'll get in there and make some adjustments on that part of it. Ms. J, you got another question?
Yes, so you mentioned the kids being able to go look at a specific location to kind of get an idea as to what it would look like and then be able to build and create their own version of one. Will there be some type of transportation that they would assist us with, or is that something that we're having to do out of pocket on our end? Like how would that work for our teams?
The way that we were envisioning it is that you can let the students know, hey, these are the 3 types of land we would like to see. Maybe even let the parents know, can you send them over there over the weekend? You can also talk to your principal to see if that's something that you can do as far as, and again, I'm new in Crowley, so I don't know if they have the small little buses that can take students there, but that would be something that you would have to work with your principal. But the reason that we did the Google map on it was just so that you can kind of see overall what does everything look like without having to visit. But if they really wanted to go in there, if it were me, I would probably send my teams with the parents, over the weekend, go to, Benbrook Lake and go see this area and go see how, the animals that live around there and the way that the quality of the land is. But that's the way that I would do it. But no, we don't have a budget for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we try to get everything as close to inside of Crowley as what we possibly could. So that way, if they did go up on a weekend, we're not sending anybody up the Grapevine or something like that, where something crazy. We try to keep everything as close as possible.
All right, anybody have any other questions about the challenge or the mentors or how that's going to work? So what we're going to do is we're just going to wait for everybody to kind of, Casey, do you want to wait another week for everybody to kind of sign up teams, and then we'll assign mentors, we said, because I know that we changed the date due to the weather.
Yeah, I think hopefully our goal is get those mentors out by next week.
By next week, yes.
So the
So,
faster we get registered in, the better I think it'll be on that part.
Yes. So the next time we're gonna meet, we're only gonna have like three sessions. The next meeting that we have is not next week, it's the week after. And we are just going to have a session where you can have your students log in, but we're gonna be bringing in someone who is kind of an expert of how to do presentations, how to speak in front of the public. So then when it is time for them to speak during competition, they'll be able to have those pointers. So this person, if it pans out, he was on, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Toastmasters. So at the TCU when I went there, and so what he does is just teach people how to speak in public, how to do presentations. And so it should be something that the students can hear, maybe get some tips out of. So we're encouraging students to also log in next time. And it's going to be a short presentation on how to do public presentations. So with that, does anybody have any other questions they'd like to ask?
Cool. I will add so I'm updating the form as of right now. So give me a couple minutes and it will be updated where we'll put in there the number of teams. So if you are a coach and you have multiple teams, you can put that in there as well. And then we'll go from there. The main part is that we really need right now is just how many teams that you got. So that way we can get those kind of situated out. All right. Cool. Well, we appreciate you jumping on. I know y'all are busy, so. If there's
All right.
anything. Oh,
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
I need to
All
appreciate
right.
it. If there's anything we can do, let us know.
Good night.